Ashes of the Last Dragon. Chapter 4. Into the Southern Woods. Almost immediately, the world seemed to close in around him. The rays of sunlight filtering through branches were thin, casting fragmented patterns on the forest floor. Moss-cloaked trunks loomed on all sides, each tree seeming older than the last. Thick roots jutted from the ground, forcing Cole to pick his way carefully to avoid twisting an ankle. Unbidden memories flickered through his mind. Whispered village tales of travelers who ventured into these woods never to return. Rumors of wild beasts, or worse. His heart quickened, but he reminded himself that most stories were born of fear. Reality often proved less dramatic, still dangerous, but not guaranteed doom. His father's hammer swung stiff in his hand with each step, a comforting weight that grounded him. He found a narrow, meandering deer trail, likely forged by animals weaving between the oaks. Though overgrown, it offered some guidance. Cole followed it deeper into the forest, every sense sharpened by anticipation. Leaves rustled overhead in a gentle current of wind, and once or twice he glimpsed small creatures. A fox darting behind a trunk, a startled hare bounding away. Otherwise, the woods remained unsettlingly silent. The further he went, the more he sensed something unnatural in the air, a prickling tension. It was subtle, nothing he could pinpoint exactly. Perhaps it was merely the knowledge that a man had once emerged from these same shadows before heading to a plague-ravaged town. Perhaps it was the recollection of Lily's feverish cough and the urgent reminder that he had only so much time before the alchemist finished his brew. Yet, despite his apprehension, Cole pressed on. The hammer's handle grew warmer in his palm from his tightened grip. His mouth felt dry, and he paused once to sip water from his skin, keeping an ear out for any unusual noises. Only the breeze through the branches answered, carrying faint swirls of ash motes that caught the sunlight in drifting silvery specks. Near what must have been the forest's heart, the trees stood even closer, their immense trunks forming a natural barrier to the day's light. The air here carried the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. Then, through the perpetual dimness, Cole spotted something out of place. A dull, black and bluish glow emanating from beyond a cluster of ancient pines. He froze, breath catching in his throat. No fire could burn that color, he thought, yet there it was, a wavering luminosity, half obscured by shifting branches. Fear mingled with curiosity, and Cole eased himself forward, heart pounding. As he rounded a particularly thick oak, he saw it clearly, a pool of swirling ash, faintly lit by black and dark blue flames. They roiled at the center of a small clearing, tracing the outline of something large and half buried. No heat radiated from the flames, yet they danced and flickered like coals in a blacksmith's forge. The acrid odor he'd picked up at Highmill was stronger here, tinged with a strange metallic edge. Tiny motes of ash drifted upward, carried by an invisible current into the canopy. Cole inched closer, pulse thrumming at his temples. He clutched his father's hammer tightly, though he wasn't certain it would be of any use if this phenomenon turned hostile. Up close, he could see the source of the glow more clearly, a molten, smouldering ball of ashes and charred material, shot through with threads of ghostly blue light. There was no sign of a campsite or evidence of a proper fire pit. This isn't someone's bonfire, he realized with a jolt. What is it? Only when he stood a few paces away did Cole spot a shard in the midst of the dark flames, like a large ember, but solid, almost crystalline in appearance. It pulsed with an otherworldly radiance, drawing his eye despite a surge of warning in his gut. The unnatural swirl of ash coiled around it, as though the shard were both the center and the cause of all this strangeness. His head swam with questions. Could this be the source of the ashes drifting over the land? Is this why that mysterious man came through these woods months ago? The swirl of black and grey dust fluttered around his boots, and though the air was cold, a tingling warmth spread through his veins, as though some quiet energy had reached out to greet him. Crouching carefully, Cole extended a hesitant hand toward the sphere of dark flame. No wave of heat blasted him. If anything, the air felt even cooler. Still, the flickering light danced and pulsed, as though beckoning him closer. He glanced around, fully expecting someone, or something, to emerge from behind a tree. But the clearing remained empty. "I have to be quick," he told himself. "I still need to get the cure and return to Lily." Yet he found himself unable to look away from the shard. What if this had something to do with the plague or the spread of ashes? Could it hold answers that might help Lily? Gritting his teeth, Cole braced for a rush of pain or heat as he reached over the molten mass. But the cold, dark flames licked harmlessly around his fingers, leaving a tingle on his skin like a mild electric charge. His heart thundered. Slowly he closed his hand around the shard, feeling it solid in his grip, cool to the touch, with a faint internal vibration. It was as though the world held its breath for that singular moment. Cole wavered on his feet, a surge of unfamiliar energy jolting up his arm, searing through his senses. Yet there was no scalding burn, no actual harm. Instead, there was a sudden awareness, a weightless feeling in his chest, and an echoing stillness that made his ears ring. Just as quickly as it began, the swirling sphere of ashes collapsed into itself, shrinking until only a small circle of fine dust remained on the ground. The flickering blue-black flames guttered out, leaving behind a faint afterglow in the clearing. Cole staggered back, clutching the shard in one hand, his father's hammer in the other. His breath came in ragged bursts, and his heart pounded as if it might leap from his chest. What just happened? His entire body hummed with subdued energy, like a taut bowstring waiting to snap. Yet outwardly, the woods remained unchanged. No monstrous roar, no blazing inferno, only the gentle drip of dew slipping from leaves and the hush of distant birds. Cole eased the shard into an inner pocket of his cloak. Whatever he held, it felt impossibly significant and impossibly dangerous. He cast one last look at the clearing. That glowing mass, so undeniably alien, had vanished, leaving no sign of its existence save for an ashy residue on the forest floor. A shaky breath escaped him. He realized that, in the bizarre stillness, he'd almost forgotten Lily's plight. "The alchemist," he told himself firmly. "I have to get back. If this shard was connected to the plague's spread, perhaps it could help him understand more later." For now, Lily came first. With renewed urgency, Cole gripped the hammer's handle and retraced his path through the woods. Though fear still gnawed at him, each step felt somehow lighter, as though that strange energy now thrummed along his nerves. A swirl of doubt and wonder clouded his thoughts. He had discovered something truly extraordinary. But was it salvation or a curse? For all the tales he'd heard of the plague, no one had ever mentioned cold flames or shards that pulsed with eerie life. What have I stumbled into, he wondered. Yet he had no time to dwell on the question. He emerged from the tree line, blinking in the brighter daylight as Highmill came into view once more. Smoke still billowed from the alchemist's chimney. Cole started forward at a brisk pace, father's hammer reassuringly thumping his thigh. In his cloak pocket, the shard felt heavier than its small size should allow, a physical reminder that his world had just shifted forever. "I need to get Lily's cure," he told himself, "then figure out what on earth I just found." The eerie hush of the forest stayed with him, lingering in the corners of his mind as he hurried to retrieve the alchemist's remedy for Lily, and to keep the terrifying secret of the ashes hidden until he could make sense of it himself.